Box of Shed, it's your man Shed. It's the return of the Versus series. It's the one I said I'll do a couple of weeks ago. This is Metallica's Master of Puppets versus Ride the Lightning. So, two classic albums. Now, anyone who knows me, or you know which my favourite album is, possibly, because I've said it a few times on my videos. If you haven't watched them, what have you been doing with your lives? So, we are looking at the 1984 Metallica second album, Ride the Lightning, up against the 1986 Master of Puppets album. Arguably one of the finest albums of all time. So, before we start, I will acknowledge that Master of Puppets is my favourite album. But I think you can tell the quality of the album when many of its songs are still played on tour, even today. Maybe not today because of COVID, but you know, if we go back to say 2019, when bands were still touring, they were still playing the hits of Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Although you can't really call them hits because Metallica aren't really known as a singles band. After all, they're not One Direction or the Beatles. So if we have a quick rundown of some of the stuff from their album. So what I am going to do is I am going to do some pausing for myself so that I've got space to put in some music. So there is going to be some what's it called? Oh, you use our materials. We're going to stick a copyright on that. That's absolutely fine. This is just a one video, and sorry Mr. Lars, I won't do it again. So at this time, obviously, I say obviously, like everybody knows everything about Metallica, so we will rephrase that. So at this time, they had that they had a few people in before the band was started in 1981 by Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield. They then had another bassist, and they had Dave Mustaine, who went on to form Metallica. Dave Mustaine was kicked out of the band because he was a druggie and alcoholic, and he sort of brought the worst out of James Hetfield. And he was replaced by Kirk Hammett, who is, you know, Metallica's ripper on lead guitar. And they found Cliff Burton. Cliff Burton is the reason why Metallica come from San Francisco, not LA, because it originated in LA and moved up to San Francisco because he said it would join them only if they moved to San Francisco, which they did. So the first three Metallica albums had the skills and the mastery of bass guitar of the amazing Cliff Burton. Many say he is the Jimi Hendrix of the bass guitar, certainly in the world of thrash metal. Gonna need a cup of tea. It's still early enough. Not on my first cup of tea. Don't have work today until, well, I'll leave just before 11. So, got a little bit of time. Doesn't matter. You don't care what time it is. It could be night time outside, but I think you can tell by the shine on my face. It's sunny outside. It's a nice day today. It's good to be alive, people. Alive. So we're doing Metallica. So we're going to start with the stuff that they still play on tour from Ride the Lightning. So they still play For Whom the Bell Tolls. One of the classics, obviously. Creeping Death is a big hit. And also on SNM1, they did the Call of Cthulhu. And also another hit from this, or another song they still do from this, is Fade to Black. Other stuff, not so much. Occasionally they may do Fight Fire with Fire, I'm sure. And then if we move then over to just change albums. I love the remastered Master of Puppets on iTunes. I don't know if you have iTunes, but let's just have a quick look and it'll tell you how long it's on for. So the original album is on for 55 minutes, and if we go down, sorry, I know this isn't necessarily the best way of doing it. Why is it not showing me all of that? Oh, here we go. So they've got a version on here with 137 songs on, which come on, tell me how long it's on for. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom because that will take a bloody lifetime. Yeah, that don't really tell me much. So I will quickly go to the bottom. Where are we? Oh yeah, so it's 137 songs and it's 11 hours and 28 minutes, almost as long as it took me to find. So there you go. So we're going to go back to the actual main songs. So stuff they still play today: Battery, Master of Puppets, Welcome Home, Sanitarium. I also particularly like Orion because it's got some fabulous bass from your man Cliff Burton. But for me, the difference in the two albums is, if we were to take Kill 'Em All, very rough, very new age of British heavy metal. If you then take Ride the Lightning, it's a little bit more polished, but it's still got that new wave of British heavy metal in there. You know, you're looking at your bands like Maiden and Deep Purple, things like that. You still get that sort of feel about it. Whereas Master of Puppets is a bit more polished. I don't know any technical music-y bits because I'm not a music producer. I'm not even a musician. I just know that this album's production is better. If you then take it on a couple of albums, you could argue that the Black Album has the best production. It does, I agree, really probably does have the best production, but you could also argue that it's overproduced. Fine album, a masterpiece on its own, but to me it's the easy listening of the Thrash family. You know, oh, I want to get into some new music, try this, you might like it, and it's great. It's a fantastic album, but it doesn't have the intensity, if you like, in many ways, of the first three albums. The other albums are also very, very good. I love them all, but for me, Master of Puppets is my favourite album, and that doesn't mean I'm going to just hand it the title, although I think I just did. It's there because of its production, but the sounds in there also, it's just awesome. You know, I am going to add some music to it in the background, which will be obviously copyright problems, but never mind. But yeah, so in analysis, my Versus series, out of the two, Ride the Lightning is probably my third favourite album of all time. Master of Puppets is number one. So there you go. Number one is going to Master of Puppets, but only just. If you want to know what's coming in between them two, it's Rain in Blood by Slayer. That's fast, that's intense. Is it as musically as good as the other two Metallica albums? I'm going to say no. Slayer musically are not as good as Metallica, but it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy what they do, because they are also incredible. What I may do for my next one, this one will be really hardcore, really for the Pacific fans, and that's the thing when you do certain bands and certain acts. Metallica has a big audience, they really do, but if I was to do it on the Beatles, perhaps I'd have a bigger audience, but then, you know, they were about 60, 70 years ago, so who cares? For me, I appreciate what the Beatles done, but I wouldn't call myself a Beatles fan. You know, you can take, I don't know, any musician at the moment, and if they're popular with the kids, they're probably going to be popular on YouTube, but do they really want this old bastard talking about them? Probably not. Anyway, I'm going to add a bit of music to this, because why not? I'm going to add some pictures to this, why not? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are a new subscriber, welcome. Thanks. Let me know that you've subscribed, leave me a comment and I will give you a message back. individual to you, that would be amazing. And there you go. That's my Versus series. Wasn't really much of a. It's a yeah. I prefer that one sort of Versus series really, other than the others. But you know, done this one. Didn't have to think about it. It was easy. Master of Puppets, Master of Albums, Metallica. You rock. See ya, pals.